Greetings, this is Star Illumination. It's Wednesday, 11th of October over here, 2023. Just felt obliged to put a couple of notes up here regarding a lot of the turmoil that's happening around our home right now. We know a lot about the stories happening over here. Okay, there's the folks over in the headquarters, command and control center over here. Chaos. We already know that this beautiful country over here is completely infected with communism. We already know that there's millions of people coming up through here to here to here. Okay, millions. All right. We know there's a real problem right here. And it's happening here as well. There's a lot of problems financially over here. Argentina, Venezuela, and much of the countries in here as well, okay? We know there's massive turmoil all across the Sahel. Okay? All the countries in here are basically saying we're sick of the imperialists from 30, 50, 70, 100, 150 years ago. Get out, get out, get out. We know there's tremendous, basically implosions happening. Sorry, the lighting's very weird here tonight. Over here in China. China, as controlled and operated by the Mr. Ping's party over here. We know there's a lot of turmoil happening over here in this enormous place operated by this guy called Vladimir. It's a beautiful, incredible country with so much land and so many resources, and they only have about 160 million people. So in some ways they're very, very blessed. They are, it sounds strange, but they're very landlocked. The only real ocean access they have is around here, sometimes here in summer, and a tiny bit here and a tiny bit here. So it's very frustrating for them, you know. We know there's tremendous turmoil over here in Eastern Europe. The two Vladimirs are going at it. Give me more guns, give me more bullets, give me more money. Basically, he's talking to the USA, Grandpa Joe. We know there's tremendous problems over here with people from over here and here and here trying to move into here, here, and here. It's causing absolute chaos. We also know that from here and all the other central banks that operate around the world that take their cue from here, there's chaos as well. Okay, so that's just really sucky stuff with relationships around the world. So I thought, well, let's check in with the Astrodoodle, and lo and behold, I made it in advance so I wouldn't take up too much time, all right? When I was looking at the charts today, you know this big fat green kite we've been having here? You know, there's the top of the kite, there's one of the sides. It faded for a while and it's fading in. Soon, within a matter of hours, the moon is going to be in Virgo at the very high degrees, like 28 degrees or so. And this grand trine kite thing is going to be reactivated again, where it's going to be very, very obvious what's wrong in relationships. Remember, when we have a fierce, tight opposition like this, relationship dynamics, opposing parties, open enemies become very evident, okay? So brace yourselves for that. On top of that, we have Mars in Libra at the 29th degree. That's a very, very unhappy place for Mars. So as you can imagine, Mars is acting out in desperation, using violence in its number one relationships, which happen to be enemies, okay? The sun is around 18 degrees, so it's very fierce and powerful right now. Add all this together. Mercury's in Libra, commerce, trade, communications. It's a problem because we're dealing with fierce oppositions here with this very, very critical axis of the node, south node and the north node, getting very close to Chiron. Chiron is in Aries. Chiron in Aries is very, very unhappy. It represents people who feel undermined, betrayed, and unfairly treated by others. It represents the individual, the sovereign self, and the deep wounds that each of us carry from previous, let's say, grievances in lifetime where we either had to sacrifice our sovereignty to stay alive, or our sovereign selves were stolen and ripped away from us. So that big fat war that started a few days ago over in, I'm not going to say any kind of names or anything, but there's a big, big fat war right over here. It's very loud, full of bang bang sticks, very, very ugly, very dirty, very, very dirty actions and behavior between, let's say, two populations that have been at it for thousands of years. And it hasn't stopped. It's just another flare-up. So let me go back over here. When you see an astrology like this, you would expect a massive, violent flare-up. So guess what we're having? Also, dear Venus in Leo at the very early degrees is very unhappy because it's technically opposite Saturn. Okay? Saturn is borderline in Aquarius right now at the 0 to 1 degree. Very, very unhappy. So we're dealing with powerful relationship dynamics that are very, very unstable, very loaded up with buried karma that is coming out in what appears to be classic characteristics and symptoms of WAR. That's why they call this house Libra, the seventh house, the house of open enemies. They call it the house of open enemies because it's the seventh house opposite the first house. The first house is the house of self. The seventh house is the house of other. And what we're noticing is that there are a lot of people who don't like each other, and they are acting out. They're basically saying enough is enough, and they can't figure things out diplomatically or through conversation or commerce or meetings or dialogue or contracts or agreements. It's all exploding into violence. Here we are. Blame it on the planets. There and there. What's happening is, whichever side you're on, there are people who are trying to reclaim their sovereignty because they feel that their sovereignty has been stolen, hijacked. Okay? I'm not going to say names. And it's the same thing over here. Very, very heavy karmic issues going on in relationships, probably over many centuries, thousands of years, that are where the relationship dynamics are really bad. And so combine all that, and it's basically like, what do you expect? So, as an example, in the last few days, I've had some horrific situations on the road where I'm just minding my own business, okay? I'm generally a very good driver, basically a moderate, safe driver. I used to be a speed freak driver. I was a professional driver for years. I was hired because I'm good. Anyway, sometimes you get these things called road rage. It's where perfectly healthy, ordinary people, suddenly their fuses blow. Kerblam! And they do the dumbest things you can possibly imagine. Like they'll stop their car they'll get out and they'll start rampaging against somebody else, or vice versa. Someone will really, some kind of really bad driver will do something really, really stupid and seriously endanger you or piss you off to the point where you react. You don't respond, you react on the gut instinct of, I'm going to get you. And that can escalate within seconds to explosive, violent, catastrophic road rage. Okay? And it's inside all of us. Every human being has a trigger point where they break. Ultimately, there's a point where people crack. Some people are very austere and very, let's say, much in control of their emotions and their ability to contain and manage themselves. But I had probably 3 or 4 or 5 incidents in the last 3 days or so. It all coincides with Mars 29.5 degrees Libra, where it's just like the whole of planet Earth is on an extremely short fuse when it comes to relationships between yourself and someone else. Fuses can blow just like that. And again, with my it wasn't me in road rage, but I felt myself getting very near to the point where I was losing my sense of responsibility, and I wanted to react in a very, very, very nasty way to the people that I perceived who messed me up, cut me up, caused potential grave danger to life. But I got out of it okay. I survived to live another day. All I'm saying is that we are affected. We are profoundly affected by the planets. I've been putting more and more material up so that people can understand, like the sun, for example. Duh, it's so obvious. There's day, there's night. There's heat, okay? The sun radiates heat. Every 11 years it goes through a cycle, okay? Hotter, colder. Solar activity, less solar activity. We're going through multiple different historical chapters in the sun right now. And it affects life experience here on Earth. Just talk to the whales and the birds and the fishes that navigate with their internal GPS. You might have seen all the videos where they're having a serious problem of not being able to navigate in their normal way. And it's very easy to correlate that with what's happening with the sun and how that affects Earth and the magnetic pole shifts and all of that stuff. Anyway, I don't want to get into that right now, but I just wanted to convey my opinion about what's happening with the planets right now and how it correlates to what's happening on planet Earth right now. We could talk a lot more, but I don't want to take up to your day too much. Thank you for watching.